Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us. And remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
And we are back. We're back. Hey, Leisure. It's like I was just talking to you. And thanks, bro. Appreciate you being... I appreciate you being excited for me. It is... Yeah, it's funny because I got some, I got some good news. I have a guest coming up. Not really going to announce it. I've already said the name a few times, but they are booking. They're not, last night I was thinking, I'm like, next thing they're going to probably come back with is money, which there is none. I think I got $4 in my wallet. All right. Nope. No. And, when I got the news, the first thing that went through my head was, I can't let this go to my head. And I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that it's happening. And it's not like, to everybody else, it's probably not like a huge thing, but to me, it's a gift from God, and the key is, how do I go about this? Because I think the main reason that they're doing is because I don't charge for what I do. I think that's the main reason. And, I'm kind of known for that. At the same time, anyway, that's not what we're talking about here. But everything has to have humility in it. All right. And what was the humility in this? Well, I called my sponsor. Hey, this is what's going on. I don't want to, because the one thing I didn't want to do is go on Facebook and start bragging. It just, and there's different ways. There's different ways to do it. Can I promote the show? Well, attraction, not promotion. All right. But we figured out some ways that it won't, break tradition or, hurt other people. We don't want it to affect other people too. Leisure says, it doesn't matter what other people think. I agree that most people, no, I don't really care what they think, but my friends, I do. Yeah. Right. The way I kind of explained it to my sponsor was it's like getting a brand new car. It's not cool until your best friend sees it and says, oh, that is a cool car. And in this case, it's not like it's not like it's Matt Rife or something coming on the show. This guy isn't as well known, but I mean, heck, if I can help more people find him and what he does, and he can do the same, then gosh, then we're doing a good thing. All right. But it's about humility, because in my mind, it's like, okay, now I got to do all these extra special things. No. It's got to be the same show. It's got to be. I cannot treat this person any differently. That is the whole point of what we do. Nobody is bigger than, nobody speaks for AA. We let our actions show what the program can do for us. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion, and I probably should have eaten first. So, but we'll see how it goes. If I get a little cranky, you know why. If you're here, please say hello, whether watching the live or the rewatch. I'm not even sure what I could eat. We don't really have much right now. We've just been really busy. Haven't been able to get to the store in the last few days. So, what are my thoughts on humility? Oh, we always usually when we talk about humility, one of the things that needs to be brought up is humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking about yourself less. My needs are taken care of. And what does that mean? That means that I have extra time to help other people. See, my needs are taken care of. Yeah, and then there's the things that I want. All right. And they say the Rolling Stones, hi Heather, said, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. Well, it really depends on what you want, too. And what I want is what God wants. And not everything is that way, right? Like I wanted a PS5. God gave it to me. I wanted a car. God gave it to me. But see, every time I have a good computer, God gave that to me. Okay. But I use my materialistic things to help other people. That's why I get those things. You're like, how is your PS5 helping? Because you need me to decompress. Trust me. You need me to decompress. And for my video gamers out there, if you're into RPGs, Expedition 33, it's the bomb. It's a really fun game. But go look at some stuff first, or you're gonna miss a lot of things, and then you'll have to do what I did, which is start the game over, those sorts of things, right? But humility, like everything else in our lives, is balance. Have to have balance and humility. Because otherwise my humility turns into codependency. Let's bring no, I don't want to. No. Well, I kind of gotta say it, don't I? Because you're like, what do you harm reduction? Do you think it helps or do you think it's codependent? Because there's people online bragging in Colorado about, oh, look, we were presented on the news. It's like, okay, well, all right. Colorado has some of the most harm reduction in the country. We're also dead last in recovery services, in recovery period. So you tell me, is that something you really want to brag on? We're the best of the best in the worst state. Be careful how you're putting it out there. I'm glad you were on the news. Hey. But to coddle people while they're using drugs, no. I am not for harm reduction. Actually, I'm all for harm reduction. Stop using it. Abstinence. That's my harm reduction. Right. Well, if we can reduce them in what? Well, spreading HIV, it's gonna happen anyway. You know what drugs do to people? It lowers their inhibitions, and then they have orgies. I don't know. I made that last part up. It was funnier in my head. Now it just sounded bad. So I apologize for that. If you took it the wrong way, I apologize to you. Codependency, right? So what I did is I asked ChatGPT to go to the internet and I said, go to the internet and find all the ways AA talks about humility. And yeah, it did a pretty good job. It says, here's a comprehensive summary of how AA talks about humility based on AA literature, the steps and reflections from AA members and texts. So let's take a look at this. And I know I was going to talk about my thoughts on humility, but this gives me a guide to get there, is what it does. All right. And sometimes I need that. Okay. Now I don't like to make it look like I'm reading off a script. So I just take little parts from it. Right. I take what I need and leave the rest. Oh, all right. So number one, humility is not optional. No, it's not optional. Um, Here's the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to go to the internet definition for humility, and we're going to look up the definition for humility. Okay. The quality of having a modest view of one's value or importance. Okay. A modest view. Right. Now, for me, here's the thing. You all see me differently than I see me. I'm getting to where you guys are and how you see me. It's just it's hard for me to accept the fact that I am certain things because of the stuff that runs through my head. Right? Like this morning, my brain was kind of torturing me about that people don't really want to be around me. They don't want to hang out. They don't want to do my podcast. My kids don't want to be around me. Then and there's reasons for this. Right? None that I'm going to bring up here. That's my problem. It's not my kid's problem. It's my problem. Okay. And I can't turn it into my children's problem. Right. So humility is non-optional, it's a foundation. Without it, staying sober is extremely difficult. Right. In fact, the literature states that without some degree of humility, no alcoholic can stay sober at all. So where do we start with this humility? Unfortunately, it's going to come from an entirely different word that sounds the same, humiliation. All the humiliation, in this case, the humiliation was the consequences of your actions. And humiliation and humility are two separate words. Okay? Humiliation is waking up and wondering who you texted, what phone calls you made. Dude, where's my car? Right? Where's my car? Dude, where's my car? Now, I didn't go through that much losing my car because I didn't have one. I didn't have cars. And cars. So humility is built into the steps, but it starts with the humiliation. We call it the gift of desperation. It means that you are no longer willing to face the consequences of your actions and that you need to change. Humiliation is 13 years old walking up to the west end of Southland Mall because that's where the arcade was, trying to spit because all the cool kids were there, but it landing on your shirt. Yeah. Leisure says, I lost one night. I lost one night. Oh, did you? You lost the entire car. Not surprising. These are everyday occurrences in the life of an alcoholic. Fuck losing your car keys. Dude, where's my car? My car keys are probably in the ignition of the car. Dude, where's my wallet? Okay. So, the gift of desperation, pain being the touchstone of change. These are the things that we are talking about. All right. that lead to humility. Now, what was the first thing that you probably did that went along with humility? When you came into the program and said, I don't know. That's the first one. Leisure says, I did find it though. Good. Yeah. Just walk around. Chirp, 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 chirp. If you have one, right? If you have a key fob that actually does that. All right. So beyond that, humility is pretty much just built into the steps. Okay. And what is humility? Well, it's the constant deflation of the ego, right? So humility is the opposite of our ego. And if we are, here's a good example. Like earlier when I got the news that this was going to happen, my thought was, Dion, we can't let this go to our, because it was going. Oh boy, was it going to my head. And usually when that happens, I yell like, fuck yeah, or I get, yay, woohoo. And none of that happened. Right? Because then what happens? Then I'm going to start bragging. Right? I wrote people. Instead of going online, I wrote people. Right? Including Leisure. But Leisure also does what I do. So he understands why this is a big deal to me. Right? And it's not a monetary big deal. The big deal is the fact that we're going to be able to reach more people. And this is a phenomenal speaker. So I want to do the best job that I can. Well, if I'm letting it go to my head, like, look how great I am, and look what now we're not getting, if I approach it with that attitude, we're not going to get what we need to get out of the story. Just like everybody else, there needs to be healing. People need to, it needs to be healing, whether it's me, whether it's the speaker or the people listening. There has to be healing involved. There's certain things that need to happen. All right. My sponsor brought up, bring up ground rules. And I have all that listed. I have a whole letter that I send to people that do the podcast, right? So the humility there was understanding that, yes, this is a big deal, but not for just Dion, for everyone. Right? Now I'm just a part of the process. Right? And what is my role in this? I'm the host. I hit go live. I press the buttons. I'm a producer in this case. Right? So what did I do? Well, I reached out to a few friends, right? A few closed mouth friends that understand what I do, so that I didn't feel the need to go on Facebook and say, oh, guess what? I mean, we haven't even exchanged all the emails yet. It's booked. Okay. Wow. Just sorry. Whew. Leisure said, I was glad you decided to share it with me. I'm proud of you, brother. Thank you. I sent it to the people that I knew that would be excited for me. Because there'll be a lot of people out there that are going to be very upset that this is happening for me. So they don't get to hear about it. Right? So the humility was being able to go to my friends and get a little bit of, yeah, good job, brother. But that's all that's needed. That's all that's needed. Right? What more do I need? Huh. See, if I let it continue going, you know what I'm going to miss out on? The dividend of gratitude. And that I would much rather have the dividend of gratitude than putting it on Facebook and getting 1 million likes. Yep. God's gift is always the better gift. And so humility is more than self-de-evaluation. It isn't about making yourself less than. In fact, humility comes with a shit ton of courage. Courage to say, hey, I'm just another person trying to help. It takes courage to say that. I no longer have to make it bigger than it needs to be, like I did with my problems. Well, when the exciting things come up, humility really needs to come into play. What was the first step of my humility here? I called somebody else for direction. That's why I reached out to like Leisure, okay, and some of my other friends that I know support me. Um, I even reached out to Pastor Marcia. I said, she's so funny. I said, she's like, when's the show? I said January 21st. So I got, oh, that's not him. That's my other friend. I said, so that comedian booked with me. This is my biggest interview ever, and I need to treat it like I would any other podcast. But boy, do I feel the need to brag. And she wrote back, he is amazing, and you should brag. Do you have the date? See, so they give me permission, but she knows how much humility I carry because we talk a lot, and I don't think I'm better than anyone. I don't feel the need to be that anymore. And it is because of the gifts that I receive for what I do. Right? For a long time, I did it because I felt like I owed. I no longer feel like I owe anybody anything. Actually, if I owe anybody anything, it would be my wife and kids and my grandkids, my close friends. If I owe anybody anything, I owe God. But you know what he wants in return from me? My love. That's all he wants. And as a parent, I understand that. So humility isn't actually de-evaluating what you are. It's actually the opposite. When when you have humility and honesty and character building as some of your character traits, life is just good. I don't need life to be exciting. I don't need that. I need balance. I need good. I need happy, right? But good and happy are a dividend to the base emotions. Humility being a base emotion. I'm finding more of those base emotions, man. So, there again, it's not thinking less of yourself, but rather seeing yourself accurately and honestly, and neither inflated or deflated. It's just, okay. Here's a good one. Don't determine your worth. Don't determine your worth. Let God do that. See what happened to me? God determined my worth. He said, Dion, you are worthy of this. You've earned this. I trust Dion, my higher power, God trusts me. Because he knows that I'll do the right thing whether somebody is looking or not. He knows I will. Right? I'm the kind of person, like, if I get out of my car and I'm smoking a cigarette, all right, I field strip that and I throw it in the trash. I'll just throw it on the ground. Oh, whether anybody's looking or not. You know, um, we were doing with Take 12 yesterday, right? And we were talking about people that brag about putting carts back. And they're like, oh, I even put 2 carts back. And we were laughing because that's just what you're supposed to do. But we alcoholics want to have accolades for taking out the trash. It's like, oh, you took out the trash. Great job. Okay, put another bag in it now. Put another bag in it now. Follow through. Okay, now you've done an exceptional job. Way to go. All right. Are we 5 years old? Sometimes I'll clean the whole house. All right. And I'm a cleaner. When like right now, you probably walk and be like, yeah, it's not that bad. But to me, it's a mess right now. right? But when I clean up, it takes me 20 minutes to do a couple of rooms because I keep up on stuff, right? Anyway, it's that perfectionist thing, right? Where I think I need to keep things in order all the time. I'm not sure where I was going up with that, so I went a different tact. What else is humility? Staying teachable. Staying teachable. You know, um, I have about 4 or 5 guy friends now that are around my age, and every single one of them is staying teachable. Good job. You know what? Good job, Gen Xers. Good job. Okay. Because we weren't taught to be that way. That is not what we were taught. Right. Yeah. I was just talking. I was just talking to my sponsor. I'm so confused on how much time people have, but he has a lot more time than we all do. I think 34 years is what he said. I'm 28 and 34 are going through my head. So it's one of those two. Right. Um, and he's working with another sponsee, and they have a hard time reading. So we're trying to come up with ways to help them with the 4-step. Right. And that's, teaching people how to go through the steps a little bit quicker and things like that. Right. Heather says, I've been listening and have heard the news. It is a pretty cool good gig. Looking forward to listening. He's a fantastic. I'll be sharing some stuff of his. And he's a phenomenal speaker. I saw him do tell a little bit of his story at a church. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to have tissue on hand. I'm going to have it. So, Leisure says, no one brings their carts back. What are you talking about? I'll give anyone props for bragging that they did. Okay. I always take my cart back. And when I go in, if there's a person like coming up behind me, because it's always an older lady, I grab a cart, make sure it's a good cart, and I give it to them first. I always go one extra step anywhere I can, because for some reason I'm able to make people's day. And if I can do that, if I can make their day better just by being a kind human being, well, I'm going to do it. If I see somebody sinking into the mire that is alcoholism, I will put my hand out, knowing they might pull me into that mire. They might try. Okay? But I have faith and courage in God that He's going to keep me unharmed. And He always has. So why would I think any differently? All right. So being teachable, willing to learn, open to feedback, and being honest about our character defects. This is a good one. This is a bad one. Well, what do you think? There again, direction is key. All right. So it says here, one member wrote that humility is the pathway to a continued improvement because it requires ongoing self-honesty and the refusal to let pride block learning. I guess that came from silkworth.net. What about the humility of anonymity? And our, that none of us speak for AA as a whole and stuff, right? Mm. So when you see people out there running around claiming, is there much humility in that? A great way to figure it out. What are my intentions? What am I trying to get out of this? Right. Before I forget, my sponsor and I came up with he's like, do you know of any videos where people explain how to do a 4-step? I said, no. He's like, well, maybe I'll go search it. I said, I'll just make one. I will just make one for you. And I think what a great, Amber, what a great question. She says, what does Dion want for Christmas? You're the first person to ask me. You're the first person to ask me. Nobody ever asked me what I want for Christmas, what I want for my birthday. Thank you, Amber. What do I want for Christmas? Uh, I don't know. I don't know what I want. Peace on earth, goodwill towards men. It's always a hard question. Um, what I would really want for Christmas is just for everybody to have a good, happy day, including me. So I will try and answer that question. But, I'm always up for another tie-dye shirt and stuff. So, but please don't get me anything because then I feel required to get you something and I'm broke. But I can't stop you either. And I'm certainly not going to try and stop a Virgo because I already know better than that. That's like, when I do the sound at church, the first time they handed me money, and I'm like, I can't take that money. I'm doing because in my mind I'm doing service work. In my mind I'm doing service work, but part of the service work is taking the money. See, these are older ladies, and I learned my lesson the first time. The look I got was, you take this money or you're going to hell. So I took it and I said, thank you. Right? It's $20. They usually probably have to pay a sound person a couple $100 to do that for an hour and a half. Yeah. Nah. I did a wedding. I made $120 on that one. That one I took willingly. That money I took willingly. But thank you for that question, Amber. I appreciate it. Because this morning I felt like nobody really thinks about me. And I knew it wasn't true. But it's what my brain does. I'm getting better at it, right? But the anonymity, so our traditions of humility is linked directly to anonymity, right? What do we say? Principles before personalities. Well, because of that line, I have some great friendships. I do, right? I don't care how you voted. I don't care what you think about this or think about that. No. When our intentions align in helping other people. So let's let's do some common themes here and then wrap up. I have therapy in 15 minutes. So humility is the foundation for ongoing sobriety. It's woven into all of the steps, especially 1, 3, 7, in those, right? It's not self-deprecation. It's about getting an accurate self view of yourself. And I tell you, this is going to be tough because you're going to find out that you're actually a good person who had skills that you didn't even know about. For me, it's been hard to accept. It's been hard to accept that I'm a good person, right? Because there's still a lot of people in my life that treat me like I'm still that person because they haven't taken the time to get to know this new Dion. Okay. They're no longer required to. But that doesn't mean I'm required to hang out with them. Yeah. I'm going to be talking to my therapist today, but I think it's time to let the family know that, hey, if we're just going to meet each other once a year to tell each other that we love each other and then not really do anything the other time of the year and not get to know each other, then love you. See you around. I tried this year but if things aren't reciprocating, and that's not on humility. That's just me trying to talk through some stuff, right? We have to stay teachable and continue with that self-honesty. We found out that humility fosters spirituality and emotional growth, right? So the dividends of humility is peace, tolerance, and willingness. More willingness. That's the dividends that you're going to get. Those are the gifts that you are going to receive. Okay? Because I would much rather have peace and serenity than I would happiness, because happiness comes with that. Or serenity comes with happiness. See? Peace comes with the happiness. So I'd much rather have serenity, balance, and peace because it comes with it, right? And then, of course, that traditions link with humility and the anonymity. So AA doesn't treat humility as a side idea. It is a core spiritual principle. I'm going to be driving this in. Thank you, by the way, Amber, for getting it going. Everybody's been saying spiritual principles. Okay. Spiritual principles before personalities. We claim these spiritual principles. We got to start putting that word spiritual in there. Great catch. Great catch. And I'm loving it because it's correct. It's the truth. Right? We claim spiritual progress. There it is again, spiritual. Right? Okay. So it's a core spiritual principle that supports every part of recovery. It helps remove a person from self-will, pride, and isolation into a grounded process of spiritual growth, honesty, and service. And isn't that what it's all about? Serving our fellow brothers. But before you do that, be kind to you first. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for always being here. I notice. Right now, I'm not saying that like if you're not here, I'm gonna notice. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I notice when there is support and when there isn't. I see it. And there are some people in my life that are always there. Thank you. I love you for that. And I love deeply. It takes me a little while to get there. But if I've got to a point where I really love you, you ain't going to be able to fucking get rid of me. Hi, Angela. Good to see you. She says, hi, you know what? You're a great person. If you think you have nothing to give, you are wrong. Every day, the service you provide is helpful. Thank you, Angela. I appreciate that. And I hope you're doing well. Thanks. It feels nice to hear that stuff. It does. All right. Key is we don't let it go to our head. What do you do when things are good? You double down on God. Double down on God. Right? But sometimes doing this, it is hard to know how many people you are actually helping because we're an anonymous program. People are kind of quiet, and that's okay too. Right? So to know that for a fact I am helping people motivates me more, and then you will get more out of me. Right? So thank you, Angela. That was a great way to end it. I appreciate that. And a good chance for me to show some humility. What was the humility in this? I said, thank you. All right. I wasn't like, yeah, that's great, but no, what she is saying is fact because that is her perception. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I really do. I love you. I really do. Peace out and keep on.